What's up, Ninja Babes? Today we are going over what you need to be a ninja. Not just the muscles, right? What are the actual things that you should have if you're gonna embark on this Ninja Warrior journey? So I got questions about like what kind of shoes should I have, or is there a better kind of chalk? All these different kinds of questions. What about at-home training? So a few days ago, I put out on the Instagram taking a poll and some votes from all of you and what you think is best when it comes to equipment and all these things. So we're going to go through that today, and I'm going to just start with shoes. We're going to go from shoes to how do you take care of rips, best chalk, best recovery methods, all of that. So let's get to it. So there was a vote for Zante Fresh Foams or Strike Movement. Overwhelmingly responded for Zante Fresh Foams, which really isn't a surprise to me. But there's definitely some hardcore Strike Movement fans out there. Let's go. Let's go through this. So here's some strikes. Got mine right here. Definitely worn. Okay, so what do I like about them, and what do I not like about them? So when I first got them, I was all about it. I was super excited about them. They're more of like a free running parkour type shoe. And I guess before I get into these specifically, let me just, in general, talk about the grip, right? So most ninjas know that the most important thing about your shoe is the grip. How does it feel when you're going through obstacles? Are you slipping off stuff when you're going up a spider climb, when you're running up the warp wall, when you're trying to get through those quick agility movements? You want a shoe that's really gonna stick to it and help you. So you're not, you're doing the work, but it's paying off. It's not like you're doing the work and you're just sliding all over the place like a puppy on a frozen lake. That's the picture I get. So when you look at the strikes, you know, super flat, even base with like all these little design cutouts for good grip. Um, when you compare it to some of the Zantes, these are pretty dirty. Excuse the dirt and grime in mine. These are Fresh Foam's V3s. So V3 wasn't my favorite model. Like probably most of you listening, I still preferred the V2s, but I never went out and bought V4s, and I'll explain why. So I think one of the favorite things about this is the bottom, and it's got, again, similar to the strikes, that nice even grip across the bottom. All right, but the thing about these, the thing about strikes, um, and some of the other shoes that I'll get into is that I think they were great in the beginning for me, but then nobody ever told me how I should adjust post ankle injuries. So I had done some minor damage to my left ankle. I had some partially torn ligaments. And then I did some serious damage to my right ankle. I had two completely torn ligaments and another partial and a hairline fracture in my tibia. So I had a lot going on a couple years back, and when I was rehabbing, I just didn't feel good in my old shoes. I did compete in Baltimore and A&W in these stripes, these blue ones right here. So they did the trick. I mean, I got through some obstacles. I wore these and they were fine. I could get up the warp wall. I could do balance. Like I said, they really felt good in the beginning, but Um, I think for me, what was key was the fact that I had ankle tears and I really needed something that was going to support my ankles better um, because I did all the rehab, I did the therapy, but I still have flat feet. It's actually something I'm actively working to help strengthen the arches in my feet. It's something that I pay a lot of attention to. So I also recognize when I can feel that drop in my arches and my knees kind of cave in. It doesn't feel good. And so wearing the strikes just kind of doesn't do it for me anymore. I wear insoles in the shoes that I do wear, which I'll show you. So these are the 1400 V6 New Balance running shoes. The reason why I like them is when you compare them to the uh, the traditional Zante Fresh Foam running, you can see, hopefully you can see, the shoe supports differently in the heel and all the way through. There is, Hold on a second. This is not working. Basically, the the running shoe here sits a little bit lower to the ground, so like this foam situation that gives the New Balance Zantes a little bit of a platform is slightly smaller in the running shoe. Um, when you're in this shoe, you feel closer to the ground. You feel like you can feel the ground a little bit more. Um, but it doesn't cause for as much heel drop for me. And on top of that, I wear these insoles, Curex, which give me more arch support. So I super need these. Um, I can get up at the warp wall if everything feels good in these, but more importantly for me specifically is that my arches, my ankles feel more supported. So I've gone through physical therapy, back to sport training, all this stuff for my ankles. So I know that they're strong and they're healthy, but are they 100% intact? No, they're not. And so I really pay attention with shoes of how can I help myself be better um, with a shoe that's going to support me. So that's what that's about. When you look on the bottom of these, they do not look nearly as like grip intensive as something like the Strikes, right? Like look at the difference there. But what you can see is that I have really run all these little prickly guys like into the ground. I have a new pair of these that I'm going to compare it to in a second here. Okay, so here's the brand new ones. And which okay, I've worn them a couple times, so they're not brand new, but here are the ones that I've been wearing for about a year. So you can see how all this tread, literally some of them have those triangles have just ripped off. And all the tread in the toe is clearly worn down. But I was just saying this to Anthony DeFranco at Center Court. I feel like now the shoe is perfect for me. Where the tread is, everything. That's why I went and bought these because I'm saving these for um, upcoming competitions. I like don't want to wear them at all anymore. I want to keep them exactly where they're at because it's gotten this flat toe situation here, which I feel like is perfect. So I'm just reiterating the fact that I do think for grip with everything for Ninja, you want to have a good surface area here that's flat but grippy. So not smooth, right? But like it's got more surface area that you're pushing off of. So I think that's what's important. What some of you all said on Instagram was Merrell's as another fan favorite. I got a couple votes for Merrell's Vapor 3s. Also the New Balance Tempo, Adidas Samba, and Vans Ultra Range were other ones that some of you have used. I've worn Merrell's as well, and I didn't hate them, but I didn't love them. And again, for my ankle situation, I just didn't feel very supported in them. So that's what I have to say about shoes. There's some other ninjas who've done more intensive feedback about shoes and surveying. So I'm there on YouTube. Definitely check out their videos if you want to see the full extent of what some of them do to test out ninja shoes. So for example, the Ninja Life is a great one. He's got some great like test footage of him really comparing with like climbing up a pole and like on plexiglass up the warp wall. Really, he gives it a great comparison. So I would check out his video, the Ninja Channel, Street Beast TV, National Ninja League, and Backyard Ninja Kids do some more like shoe comparisons. So I'm not gonna necessarily do all the same comparisons that they did, but I did want to throw out the fact that if you've had ankle injuries or if you're concerned about, you had some sprains that weren't super bad, but you're concerned, you might want to check out some other shoe options. The other thing about the Zante Fresh Foams is that your foot does sit up really high in this heel back here. There's a lot of space in the bottom. I know some people who've taken these and gotten them custom like trimmed down because we don't need all this cushion like this in Ninja. It's more about feeling the ground to a certain extent and having that good grip. So I would just pay attention, like what do your feet really need? Because Zantes are a great option, but there are other options out there. Moving on. I'm going to talk about recovery a little bit. So because I've had ankle injuries and sometimes I still will get a little bit of like some swollen ankle going on, especially if I've been standing all day long, like sometimes at filming when you're like standing for a really long time, if you're watching your friends or you're like at filming as a participant, maybe you're not even doing ninja, but you're just like standing around a lot. Um, or at testing, stuff like that. I definitely always wear compression socks, the knee-high ones. So I always wear the 20 to 30 mmHg compression socks. So that's like the amount of pressure in the compression. I find that it definitely helps to keep all the fluid and swelling moving if you do end up swelling because of standing and prior injuries and things like that. The other great recovery tool that I have is this sucker right here. I'm going to put it on. So after I had my shoulder injury and I had shoulder surgery, I needed a way to ice my shoulder more easily because you might know that shoulders are like a weird shape, and trying to stick an ice pack on there and then you have to hold it, and maybe it's like just the spot in the back, like your supraspinatus, and it's like hard to reach it and all that jazz. So I found this and I think it's incredible. And I still use this after like training if I just want to ice down my shoulder if I'm feeling super like pumped or just sore or whatever. So you just stick it on your shoulder like this. So you can adjust it in and out. The first time you do it, might need a buddy to help you, but once you get it down, I basically just always do it myself now. You can strap it in. The ice pack is in there, and you can refreeze the ice pack. And then it's got this handy little squish ball thing to tighten it up. So it's literally like snugging on your shoulder. At my PT place, they have this thing called the squid where it basically does the same thing, but it's on a pump and it like hugs you, compresses it, and then lets it go. So this is not really as high tech as that, but it still works amazing. And seriously, for anyone who's ever not iced their shoulder because it's like a pain to ice because what are you, like grabbing a bag of vegetables or something, this is so worth it to have, and they're not that expensive. I'll put the Amazon link in the bio description here because I've already referred this to a lot of my other ninja friends who have all enjoyed it, and that is great because it's so easy to use. You can walk around, like it's great. I love this thing. And it works on either shoulder, so you can just rip it off and then you switch it around for the other side. Thermoactives, cold and hot mobile compression therapy. Pretty great. Don't be afraid to take rest days, ninjas, and don't be afraid to have good recovery. I know a lot of us have like Theraguns and Hypervolts and things like that, and those are awesome, but sometimes we gotta rest, we gotta ice. All right, so speaking of recovery, if you've ever had a rip before, sometimes people have all sorts of remedies for their rips. I'm going to read through some of the more hilarious ones. When asked in a vote who fills their rips with balm and who doesn't, it was 75% of you said, yes, I will put some sort of balm in my rip, and 25% said no. When I asked what was your preferred balm of choice, we had quite a mix, but there was an overwhelming amount of you that said climb on. Rip stopper or rip fix is another one. Joshua Tree, Stronger Play, which I have right here. I'm talk about this one in a second. Let's see. Somebody else said, literally, I'm going to read their answer. I just dry it with chalk and then use alcohol to clean it. It does hurt, but it works well to clean it well. Can't say I've ever done that one. Somebody else said Neosporin, whatever's at the rock climbing gym, Rip Stopper from Amazon. All right, so two of my favorites. There is Boulder Bomb by Orbital Climbing. And they've given us a lot of samples and like giveaway products over the years. And I really do like their bomb. I'm going to open this one. And it comes with the little pick from Orbital Climbing. So I'm sure a lot of you know how this works. You kind of scoop some out. I don't have any rips that are fresh right now, but you kind of like can put it in there. So basically there's stuff in a lot of the balm ingredients are similar. So there's usually different types of oil, shea nut butter, jojoba oil, hemp seed oil, vitamin E, different butters and oils like that are going to help heal the skin quicker. That's the goal. So Stronger Play is another company who the Ninjababes have supported, as they have supported Ninjababes. Here's the inside. Because Maria Young, who is a fellow ninja, who is, I believe she's 16 years old, she created this company, and I've really enjoyed using her balm as well. Similar ingredients: beeswax, shea butter, cocoa butter, avocado oil, jojoba, chamomile essential oil. So both of these I really like. I know lots of people like climb on. I think the point is definitely it's worth trying some of these products. It can help ease the sting, keep it from crap and dirt like getting in there. Um, and I like to do it overnight because it is kind of weird to like have this stuff just sitting in your hand throughout the day. It's gonna get everywhere. And if you put a band-aid over it, like, okay, sure. But if you do it at night, you can kind of like slog around some into your rip, put your hands down like you're in corpse pose, like yoga pose. Just kind of lay your hands down so that your palms are up and just see if you can fall asleep like that. I usually can. And then, of course, in the morning, like I'll wake up and I'm not in that position, but he's given my hands several hours to allow that to seep in and to help your skin heal up. I'm going to show later in the bonus portion of this video what I do with this little buddy. I have a callus trimmer and this is what I use on my hands. I'm going to explain this a little bit later, how I help to prevent rips, because I don't think a lot of people realize that you actually can prevent rips from happening. Once you rip a few times, you can kind of manicure them and keep them a certain way to avoid them from ripping back open in the future. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But the other thing I always have in my gym bag is this medical tape, but it's not just the regular white medical tape. It says on the inside it's cloth tape. I don't have the package. I haven't actually seen the package for a super long time because yeah, I've had this in my bag a long time. But I'll show you a little sample. So it is cloth tape. You can see the fibers like on the edge there. It's sticky, but it's not just gonna crumple up like some of the tapes that seem more, how do I say, like tapey, like some of the other tapes that are more of like a white crisp color. If you go like this and squish your hands together, it's just gonna like peel off the tape. So I'll show you what I mean, the difference when I put this on here. If you have a rip, especially on your fingers, and you want to keep climbing, you want to keep doing ninja, I love this stuff. So I'm just gonna put on my pinky here, stick it on, make sure it goes all the way around and it's touching itself there. And then when you're climbing, of course it wrinkles, but it's not going anywhere. It's not gonna like pop off your hand like the other ones do, where they crinkle and then they just shrivel up and fall away. This stays on really good, and it's easy to tear with your fingers to get a skinnier piece too, and you could just cover what you want. So I really recommend having some sort of cloth tape for covering rips if you want to keep going, or even if you are climbing or working out doing ninja and you know you're about to tear and you're like, I just don't want to tear. And you want to wrap it up. But I always feel like tearing, unless it's like the day before a competition, I feel like tearing is just better because it's only going to make your calluses stronger over time. So sometimes you just got to accept it and rip away. Okay. So next, let's talk about la 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 la. I also asked liquid or powder chalk, and let's see in the results so far. This one's actually still on the Instagram, but the results so far look like this. 57% of you said powder and 43% said liquid. I would agree. I mean, I like my liquid chalk, but I also like using powder chalk. I don't really have a hard and fast preference, but um, a few people said Friction Labs and absolutely nothing else. I do really like Friction Labs. That's what they have, I think. Yeah, Maura Sherman said this, and so I'm assuming that that's what they have at Grit, and I do like their chalk. Another vote for Friction Labs. Atomic, atomic liquid. Huh. Bucket of chalk. Oh yeah. Um Bucket of chalk. They're definitely, as a group, I would actually really love to talk to Bucket of Chalk on the podcast. Just saying. So right here in my hand, I have some Magic Ninja dust. This is liquid chalk from a small company in New Jersey, which is probably why I have them in my hands because they're sort of local. But they are I really like using this. And during COVID, when we were a little bit leery of like, should everyone be sticking their hands in the same chalk bucket? This was nice to use because as a coach, I would just pop it open. My kids want to chalk, squish a little in their hands. You can see the outside of it is powdery because it dries into powder. So if you've never used liquid chalk, you put it on your hands, it becomes powder after a few seconds. You wipe it around, there you go. Um, I really like the chalk that it feels like very powdery and light, and when you rub it around your hands, you don't need a lot because it kind of just spreads all over and you're done. Um, I don't like using a lot of chalk, and so I usually only use it for stuff that's super grip intensive, and maybe we're in a competition. Otherwise, I try to be very minimal with my chalk. I think one of the reasons I do that is once you get to A&W, you can't use chalk. And so if you have it in your head that you must rely on chalk, you don't want it to like mess with you and think that you're going to do bad just because you don't have chalk. And also, chalk isn't always necessary, right? Chalk is a supplement. It's like a help mechanism. So use chalk when you need it because sometimes something is going to be so difficult to get if you're not using chalk just because of sweaty hands or whatever it is. But if you can train with less chalk, hopefully over time you won't need to use as much chalk. I don't know, maybe that's not the greatest theory. That's my theory. So point of the story, find out what chalk you like, but don't become addicted to your chalk because you might find yourself in a situation where you don't have chalk or you can't use it. Moving on, let's talk about at-home ninja grips and things. All right, so one of my favorite brands is Monstro Holds. Monstro built my original little ninja rig training situation in my old apartment, and I'm very grateful to Monstro for the support that they've had to Ninjababes over the years. So, gotta say, I love Monstro. The only thing I really have here is Monstro, except for I have a few Goku grips that they sent me. Um, Pros and cons. Okay, so the Goku grips that I have are all wooden. I brought them to VertiQuest a couple years ago when I first got them, and we were doing some crazy moves. And one of the guys, trying to remember exactly who it was, one of the guy, it could have been Adam Latz, but he was there. I don't know if he was the one who fell or not. But basically, what happened was doing a big lache, went to land on one of these like 2-inch nunchuck looking things, and the bolt ripped right out. And that's scary because then you fall to the ground. There was a mat, everyone was fine. The grip was not fine. The hold itself was not fine because the bolt ripped out. That made me quite concerned. Like, oh wow, these are not as strong as like my Monstros or Atomic or some of these other companies. Just because it's wood, it's softer. So I was able to get the bolt back in on the other side. It wasn't this one. I have a few of them around here, but I don't bring them into the gym anymore because that made me nervous. But I do use them at home. But here's the thing I'll say. I only use the nunchucks. They also sent me these cannonball looking ones. The reason I don't use these, I don't know if anyone can tell just by looking at it. It's hanging like this, right? And when you go to grab it, sorry, I just bumped my mic. It's hanging like this, and when you go to grab it, you're basically like always hitting the bolt in some capacity, unless you're really grabbing like down here, which power to you if you can do that all the time when you're training, which maybe I should be doing that. But if you're using it as a traditional cannonball, it's always going to hurt your fingers because this bolt is like on the top surface area where you'd be grabbing. Whereas like a Monstro holds or other companies, let me just grab one really quick. Grab this one. There's this space. So on a cone, if you know, you're not really supposed to grab up here. But if this was a cannonball, it's the same situation with it. There's space at the top of the bolt. So just pay attention to what you're buying. If you're not buying from a traditional ninja company, look at the way it's made and pay attention to if you think the materials are real sturdy, nothing's going to rip apart while you're using it. Um, is there space for your fingers in this bolt? No, there's definitely not. So things like that, just keep an eye out for. Some of the other great companies that are out there for ninja holds, I put a vote out on Instagram, and when voting between 4 of, I think, some of the most commonly known ones, Monster Holds, Atomic, Stronghold Ninja, and 3-ball climbing. In first place right now, we got Monstro. In second place is Stronghold, very close first and second place. Then 3-ball climbing, and then Atomic. So Monstro, I think, traditionally has a whole lot more holds and different shapes of holds of every color imaginable. Stronghold, they do have some individual holds like that, but they also have some of those really sweet like boards and different types of larger holds that aren't just like the heavy like resin ones. They have like different options, right? So you can like stick your hands in them if there's like a slot, or there's like handles on the edges, or there's like grab it this way on the handles or grab it here in like a cliffhanger type situation. So I do think Stronghold has some really interesting types of holds that are great for big laches or just training at home, things like that. Monstro has a little bit more, I don't want to say traditional, but some of their holds are more like for a specific purpose. So there's one way to hold on to a cone. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. But I do think Stronghold has some more like versatile options in their holds. And when I say versatile, I mean like the hold itself has a lot of versatility, not how you use the hold. So, for example, you can look at something from Monstro and say that, oh, there's one way to use this hold. When sure, there's one way to grab it, there's one way to be hanging from it, arguably. But how you use it has an infinite amount of possibilities. So if you have a whole bunch of mantra holds, different types, and you string them all together in a line, there's different ways to be practicing how you move through that line, changing directions, going through it as a grip gauntlet, that sort of thing. So I think what's important is your creativity and how you use these holds. So for example, I have tons of mantra holds here at home. That's predominantly what I'm training on in my ninja rig. But how do I set up, like I said, a grip gauntlet? How do I set up conditioning, doing pull-ups, doing holds, doing different types of movements back and forth, changing directions, all that stuff is really important. So it's not just about a particular company, it's about the variety of your holds and how are you using them together for your training purposes. That being said, at home, if you're looking to buy some of this stuff for training, I think you need it all, right? Like, I don't think you should just buy something from Stronghold that has like handles or slots. I think you need to get some like a variety of types of grips. I think that's always the point. So, if you're getting an infinity ledge from Monstro and some cannonballs from another company and the ape hanger from Stronghold, there's a variety of ways to hang on those things. If you have the type of at-home rig where you can set up laches, like you can buy a couple of these and like be lacheing from nunchuck to nunchucks and things like that. There's a lot of ways to do it. I think more so than talking about a specific company, I would encourage people who are buying for their homes to look for a variety of how would you be hanging, how would you be using those types of mechanisms. Is it for climbing? Is it for lacheing and swinging? Is it for something else entirely? Like, keep that in mind and make sure you're getting a variety. Here's some more examples of what I mean by that. So here we've got um, some more holds from Monstro. So if you look at these are more of like a vertical type grip. Your hands are in this squeezing position. Here you can be hanging a little bit differently. Of course, you could be close or more wide here or on this bigger lip. But that's more of like a hang with your hands in this position, pulling downward rather than squeezing. And then this is from Atomic. These are pretty gnarly. You can pinch your fingers in here, almost like a cliffhanger type feeling, but it's like more of a completely flat ledge. You can also squeeze them. So that's like vertical or bring your weight down. I don't know what you would call this position. A pinching. There you go. Pinching. There's also, you can build cliffhanger holds at home as well if you just use some sort of wood and kind of route the edges so it's not super sharp. You can make up your own ledges at home too. I can show you an example of one that we've made here. So we've got a few of these. You can see on this side, I bring it a little closer to the camera. It's like a 1.25, 1-ish inch ledge. And like I said, we routed off the edge so it's a little bit easier to hold on to. This side is just 2x4 stuck right on there. But it's a bigger thing to pinch. And we've got a few of these in varieties made so that we can hang them here from the ninja room. I bet you didn't know I was in my ninja workout room, did you? If you're on video, you can see. So we hang all sorts of stuff. All right, moving on. I know this is pretty much a giant rant about everything in my ninja closet. Another Ninja Hold company that I didn't know about, but someone showed me on Instagram just yesterday, is Silent K Ninja. And so they've got some interesting holds out. They've just launched their Pandora's box, which was featured at um, the NNL comp that Michael Torres put together. And so Pandora's box, it's like a 6-inch cube with an inch and a half ledges and 3/4 inch ledges. It's got some inserts that you can change out, like hooks, rails, what they call windows, and then peg hold. So it's a very versatile hold. And so that's what I'm talking about. If you're doing something at home and you really don't want to have to purchase a lot of equipment, but you still need to cover all your bases of different types of grips, that's pretty cool. That Pandora's box, something like that could be really cool to have. But definitely check out their website. They're a new company to me that I didn't know about. And there's ninja companies popping up all the time. To sum up that last point about holds. So I know I keep saying variety. Yeah, you want to think, if you're training at home, do you have somewhere to hang things? Do you have somewhere to swing? If you're not swinging, you're definitely just hanging. Think about how you can creatively use your door frame space. Maybe you've just got one bar and you're gonna keep switching out holds, or maybe you've got um, a canvas board that you're going to stick above in the doorway there, and you're able to do a lot of grip movements and pull-ups all at the same time. I think that's essential, having just a grip station in your home like that, where you can do pull-ups, lock-offs, you know, different grip movements, cliffhangers, using holds in your pull-ups, or just hanging. I think all of that is essential and really helps to work on that grip strength from home. All right, last thing I'm going to say before we move on to the bonus portion, where I'll show you how I actually do take care of my rips. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about having these other accessories for your workouts and for warm-ups. Warm-ups are so important, especially if you've ever had an injury and you really need to take care of those shoulders, or before you're injured. Make sure you're taking care of your shoulders. I always bring a TheraBand with me to the gym to warm up, and I do, a series of different shoulder type warm-ups and activations to make sure that my whole rotator cuff is ready to go before I even hang on the bar and continue to do more warm-ups there. So I think these are great because you can squish them up and they're so small. You can put them anywhere, stick them in a backpack, take them on the plane, anything. I also usually have these in my car as well. And this is, there are these like stretchy sports bands that have handles on them, and they're different weights. These specifically are from Crossover Symmetry, and they work great, and I appreciate having like a variety of different weights and things. I use a 7, a 10, and a 15-pound sports band, like weight resistance, on a regular basis in warm-ups, and I think that's just a great way to make sure you're taking care of your body and paying attention to all those different movements, and not just immediately jumping on the bar and swinging all over the place. When you're young, I feel like you could do that when you're a kid. But as you get older, many of us know that it's not usually smart to just immediately jump on the bar. You really need to ease into it and make sure you're taking care of your body. Because we want to be ninjas forever, right? We want to be ninjas till we're like 90. And the only way that's going to happen is if we're taking care of our bodies now. So that was a very lengthy explanation of some of my favorite gear and some recommendations that I have for ninja gear. If you have more questions, definitely comment on these videos. Send us an email. If you're listening to the podcast, you can comment online, or you can send us an email to theninjababes@gmail.com, DM us at theninjababes. This has been fun. I love show and tell. So I'll move into the bonus part of our episode, show you what I do with this crazy tool right here, and how I help take care of my hands in between ninja sessions. Next, we are moving on to the bonus portion of our episode. So this is the part where we say thank you to all of our Patreon members, because if you subscribe and you support us through Patreon, you're helping to make the Ninjababes podcast happen every week. And I am forever grateful to you for helping to support us. So, today in the bonus content, I will be showing you how to trim your calluses, exactly what to do to help keep those ridges down and help reduce the amount of rips and tears that you get when you're ninja training. So, I'll show you what I do with my little rip slicer, the Callus Trimmer. Um, but again, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, all you have to do is go on to patreon.com/ninjababes. And there are a variety of tiers that you could subscribe to, ranging from $6 a month to $55 a month. And any tier that's from $9 and up is where you get this bonus content. But every tier has special gifts and different things for helping to contribute and being part of the input of Ninja Babes as well. So I appreciate you so much. Check it out and let's get on to the bonus. Be strong, be you, be a Ninja Babe.